Hello and welcome back to my channel. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment on my videos. I am back with another video of Michael Rapaport. You just know Michael and his videos. In this video, he doesn't disappoint again. As usual, in this one too, he just had to involve black people. The last time I shared his video, I remember saying that it's time maybe he kept black people out of his mouth. Other people said so as well, but it looks like he never gets it. Now, it's just too much of involving black people in everything he says. In this video, just like that Zionist lady was trying to say in her video, Michael also took to social media to say the same thing about the phrase from the river to the sea. According to him, just like many other Israelis, he thinks the phrase means the end and destruction of Israel. But the mistake he makes is comparing that phrase to the black forbidden word to justify whatever he's trying to say.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free is not an impassioned cry for freedom. It means, and has always meant, up until the last 30 days, it means and has always meant the end of Israel, the destruction of Israel, the extermination of all Jews. You can't get from the river to the sea, back to the river without hating Israel. You can't change the historic meaning of that while they're still just being held. Come up with a new slogan. Come up with a new catchphrase. Put it this way. Imagine a bunch of people running around saying the N-word, and people going, what are you talking about? I go, well, I don't mean it the way you thought. I mean it because it's a term of endearment. It's a term of affection. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So people don't say it because they know what it means to black people. And as far as black people saying from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, well, I don't know what to tell you guys. It's like calling, Puerto Ricans the S word, Mexicans the S word, Chinese people the C word, Jewish people the K word, and like calling you N word. That's what it feels like to us. Okay, that's what it feels like to Jewish people. That's what it feels like to the people of Israel. Makes sense?
Of late, I have been seeing a lot of videos talking about this phrase. Of course, different interpretations from people. The Israelis have their own way of understanding this phrase, while Palestinians do interpret it differently. But not to worry, because we will get to know the whole truth about this phrase by the time I am done. For now, let's check out these teachers. I will be right back.
Okay, first of all, Michael Rapaport is completely unhinged at this point. Completely unhinged. And I'm also wondering, why is it that every time a group, a marginalized people, starts to feel their marginalization on a global scale, they always cook up some insane scenario where they're like, yeah, but what about these ends? These ends. What if people were saying N-word? What if you don't have to imagine that? Michael Rapaport. You don't have to cook up an insane scenario where people run around saying the N-word. So maybe you need to consider, why did you what was the point of that even? What was the point?
Free is not an...
This might be long, because this is long overdue. Because I've had a problem with you, Michael Rapaport, for a very long time. Your entire career, you've embedded yourself firmly into a culture that is not your own, into a culture that is historically disenfranchised, and into a culture that continuously fight for representation, fight for equality, fight for their voices to be heard. And in that community, you have positioned yourself as an authority, as someone that has the right to tell people about how they should feel, about how this is done, about how that is done. Do you not see the irony within this?
It's not an...
If before the state of Israel was all of Palestine, and all of Palestine was from the river to the sea, we shall be free. Does that not mean give us our land back that you kicked us out of? That you displaced 150,000 Palestinians in 1948? Did you not think that's what that meant? The problem with Michael Rapaport is he just wants people to hear him. This is the most attention he's got in years. Because, all he's good at is making sound voiceovers for animal videos. We can acknowledge that Hamas is a militia group. Everyone collectively can agree to that. But no one will collectively agree that Palestinian children should be murked in kicks and giggles. Yeah, I love equating anything to the equivalence of the N-word as if it's racist. What they're saying is not racist because this has nothing to do with race. This has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with colonization. That's like saying if an indigenous person in America was like, from the Pacific to the Atlantic, indigenous shall be free. Oh, that's racist. Why would you say that? Because this was their land first. Be fucking for real. We were literally born when the state of Israel was 30 years old. Palestine wasn't 30 years old. Palestine was always there. I don't know why. It's getting tiring. It's getting tiring seeing Israeli propaganda and you motherfuckers eating it up. When Holocaust survivors are speaking up and saying this is wrong. Slap in the face to your fucking grandmother. How about that? Like, what?
No, it doesn't make sense. Anyone who's studied the history of the phrase, and for reference, I would suggest you look up an article from Maha Nassar. It was an associate professor of Palestinian history in the University of Arizona on the Conversation website. There, she goes deeply into the context of that phrase. And at the end of the day, what you learn is that when the Palestinian people were first occupied from 1948 to 1967, that whole era of time, that phrase from the river to the sea, Palestine should be free, had to do with the returning of land, meaning they wanted to be free from occupation, right? In 1969, it became a call for a Palestinian democratic secular state that fully would integrate Jewish and Palestinian people that would not be based on religion and would have equal rights for everyone. That's what it stood for. The call was around that ideology.
Now, this phrase has really brought a lot of talk on social media. There are different interpretations of this phrase and allegations too. Now, the allegations of this phrase, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, is an anti-Semitic slogan commonly featured in anti-Israel campaigns and chanted at demonstrations. This rallying cry has long been used by anti-Israel voices, including supporters of terrorist organizations such as Hamas and the PFLP, which seek Israel's destruction through violent means. It is fundamentally a call for a Palestinian state extending from Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea territory that includes the state of Israel, which would mean the dismantling of the Jewish state. It is an anti-Semitic charge denying the Jewish right to self-determination, including through the removal of Jews from their ancestral homeland. Usage of this phrase has the effect of making members of the Jewish and pro-Israel community feel unsafe and ostracized. It is important to note that demanding justice for Palestinians or calling for a Palestinian state should not mean, as this hateful phrase possesses, denying the right of the state of Israel to exist. This is one of the allegations or interpretations of what others think about this phrase. Let's now get to know where the slogan came from and what it really means. We won't rest until we have justice, until all people, Israelis and Palestinians between the river and the sea, can live in peaceful liberty, said Andy MacDonald, a Labour MP, at a protest in London organized by the Palestine Solidarity Campaign. 3 days later, MacDonald was suspended from the party pending an investigation, leaving the former shadow cabinet minister sitting as an independent for now. Some feel the decision was heavy-handed, while others see it as a sign of strong leadership from Keir Starmer as the Labour leader tries to draw a clear line between himself and his predecessor Jeremy Corbyn. Now, the key to understanding why the party reacted so strongly is 6 words from MacDonald's speech and the context in which they were spoken. Between the river and the sea is a fragment from a slogan used since the 1960s by a variety of people with a host of purposes, and it is open into an array of interpretations from the genocidal to the democratic. Now, the full saying goes, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, a reference to the land between the Jordan River, which borders eastern Israel, and the Mediterranean Sea to the west. Now, the question then is, what does that mean for Israel and the Jewish people? Some claim the terminology is laced with genocidal intent. In 1966, the Syrian leader Hafez al-Assad, the father of the country's current dictator, said, "We shall only accept war and the restoration of the usurped land to oust you aggressors and throw you into the sea for good." Hamas, whose men unalived 1,400 people on 7th October, claimed the slogan in their rejection of Israel. Hamas rejects any alternative to the full and complete liberation of Palestine from the river to the sea, says the organization's 2017 constitution. The Home Secretary Suella Braverman tweeted after recent UK protests in which thousands chanted, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," that the slogan was widely understood as a demand for the destruction of Israel. She added, "Attempts to pretend otherwise are disingenuous." Here's a commonly held view, one that is vigorously countered by those who regard such characterizations as an attempt to close down debate. In 2021, the Palestinian-American writer Youssef Manaya argued that those who saw genocidal ambition in the phrase, or indeed an ambiguous desire for the destruction of Israel, did so due to their own Islamophobia. It was instead, he argued, merely a way to express a desire for a state in which Palestinians can live in their homeland as free and equal citizens, neither dominated by others nor dominating them. The context and the intent is key. The founding charter of Benjamin Netanyahu's Likud party throws, between the sea and the Jordan, there will only be Israeli sovereignty. From the river to the sea is a rejoinder to the fragmentation of Palestinian land and people by Israeli occupation and discrimination. Palestinians have been divided in a myriad of ways by Israeli policy. There are Palestinian refugees denied repatriation because of discriminatory Israeli laws. There are Palestinians denied equal rights living with Israel's international recognized territory as second-class citizens. There are Palestinians living with no citizenship rights under Israeli military occupation in the West Bank. There are Palestinians in the legal limbo in occupied Jerusalem and facing expulsion. There are Palestinians in Gaza living under an Israeli siege. All of them suffer from a range of policies in a singular system of discrimination and apartheid, a system that can only be challenged by their unified opposition. All of them have a right to live freely in the land from the river to the sea. But it is precisely because Zionist settler colonialism has benefited from the pursued Palestinian fragmentation that it seeks to mischaracterize and destroy inclusive and unifying rhetoric frameworks. Since Zionists struggle to make a persuasive argument against freedom, justice, and equality for all people throughout the land, they seek instead to attack the message and messenger. When Palestinians proclaim, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," many Zionists argue that this is a Palestinian call for genocide. But as historian Maha Nasser has noted, there has never been an official Palestinian position calling for the forced removal of Jews from Palestine. The links between this phrase and eliminationism might be the product of an Israeli media campaign following the 1967 war that claimed Palestinians wished to throw Jews into the sea. Now, Jewish groups such as the American Jewish Committee also claim that the slogan is anti-Semitic because it has been taken up by militant groups such as the Palestine Liberation Organization, the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, and Hamas. But as Nasser writes, the phrase predates these users and has its origins as part of a larger call to see secular democratic state established in all of historic Palestine. We have come to the end of the video. Kindly share your own take and what you know about this phrase. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video.